What's up YouTube, James Prigioni coming to you live from Jersey. The progress in the food forest is coming along real nicely, but I still got more to do. I need to put the contractor's paper down, get more wood chips down, finish up this gate for an access point, bunch of other work. Wanted to bring you guys along. Let's go. First thing I want to do is get this center post in, strengthen up that gate, get it all finished. So this center post is going to be enough to strengthen it. Some of you guys said I should do diagonal posts, or I should do some diagonal pieces here. But I've done this kind of gate before. It works plenty strong, especially for how lightweight it's going to be. So I'm just going to put 2 more screws in on each side. You can see how it's going to rack like this, because I only have 2 screws in here. But once I put the 2 more in, like I'm getting here in the 4, you're not going to get any of that. It's going to strengthen it up. So I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to get everything nice and square here. All right, so the first thing I did here was I had those 2 screws in, then I just threw the square up, made sure it was all square, stuck those other 2 screws in, moved down to the next one, made sure that was square, put the screws in, and all I had to do was just loosen up the one here, which I did, and I could just adjust it. So now I'm going to move down to this other corner here, make sure this is square. It looks all good and square like that. All I have to do is pre-drill this one here, another one here. Strengthen that up. Should all still be square. So it looks good, and then I can just move to the last one. It should be all square and it looks good. I can just attach everything and I'm square all the way around. Another way to tell if you're square is to measure diagonal to diagonal. So we'll do that right here. This diagonal here to the corner. So it looks like it's about 64 1/8. Then we'll measure the other diagonal and they should be the same. And it looks about right on. So we know we're nice and square. Now we're just gonna take this piece here that I found. It was cut from a previous gate I made. And we're just gonna cut it to length. And that'll really strengthen everything up. And you can see it's already strong now that I put the other screws in. So to get this, all we're gonna have to do is just bump it up and just mark it. We're not gonna have to measure anything. But I want it centered. So to get center, we're just gonna measure from one side to the other. 42 1/2. So they'll mark 21 1/4. That's our center point. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. And since we're square, it should be the same thing, 42 1/2. And we'll mark 21 1/4 again. Now I'm gonna take this piece and just center it with my mark on both sides. Then I can just mark it right there. I don't have to measure anything, makes it even easier. Then I'll cut it to length. Everything's always a lot more fun when you got your chickens around you, your dogs around you, just hanging out, relaxing, enjoying everything. You can see Forrest is coming back a lot from her molting. She's doing a lot better. Almost all of her feathers are back. Savannah's doing a lot better too. And now that it's getting really cold, it's perfect timing to have new feathers, fresh ones. And you can see they love eating the grass. Tom especially. Her eyesight isn't great, but she can eat a lot of grass out here. That's one of the reasons I want to save some grass still, so I can feed it to the chickens, and also for a spot to just hang out. With the 2 food forests in here now, we're gonna have a lot of space, and it's gonna be so much fun. But I wanna have some space to hang out and relax too. I got my mark here, I brought it around to the front. Just gonna cut it to length. Here's my mark, so I'm gonna wanna keep it on the left side of the blade. That's what I'm gonna keep. There's an old carpenter, I watched some of his videos on YouTube, Larry Hahn, and he talks about how the less you have to use the tape measure, the better it is, the less chance of messing up. So that's what I like to do, just bump everything up as much as you can. When you don't measure as much, you take away all the chance of really messing up. That's my favorite part about it. So as I just bump this up, the likelihood that it's gonna fit perfect should be pretty high. Well, not perfect, but as close as you're gonna get. You can tell this piece isn't perfectly ripped down, but it's good enough. And I didn't route down the sides, but I'm going really just for function over form here. And now that I have it centered here, I'm just gonna mark the sides for me. Just bring my markings up. This way I know, because when I put this plate over top here, I'm not gonna be able to see. Now that I have my markings on the side, I can just line it up like I have it. Make sure I'm still centered. And I'll do the same thing over here. Center it, and mark the sides. Similar to what you would do if you were building a deck. Now I'm going to put 2 more screws in each. And this pre-drill, it might seem like it gets tedious, but you have to do it. With crappy plywood like this, it's going to split. And I could be using something better, but this is what I had on hand. I didn't feel like spending a bunch of money on this gate because I'm always moving them and changing the gates. The fencing is a little different. I don't mind putting out some extra money for that. But the gates and stuff, I'm always adding gates and moving gates and doing all different kinds of things. Having a lot of different paddocks and gates and different areas is really convenient, especially when you have animals. Even though I just have a dog and a couple chickens, but I can, with all the different sizes and paddocks, I can put chickens in an area if I want and isolate them and have the dogs isolated in a different area. All right, got that last screw in. Let's see what it looks like. We got that brace running horizontally and it's 4 feet high, same height as the fence. Nice and wide, looks good. It'll be perfect for being able to get the wheelbarrow in, so I'm happy with the way it came out. Let's keep moving. All right, gate's looking good. Let's stage where we're gonna put it. This way I can start finding out where I wanna put the post in. I want it kind of parallel or right across from where I had the other one. Now you can see why we wanted the height at 48, matches up nice and perfect. So what I'll do is just kind of say, if I want it here, I'll mark right here, knock the post in, and then attach the post to this wire here. After I attach the post to the wire, I'll be able to cut it off and then just nail the wire onto here. And that'll be my gate. And then I'll have another post right here. Everything's staged right where it's supposed to go. And that's a future gate. Cheap, not too hard to do. And a lot of the tools I get and the tools that I'm using, like that table saw for instance, I got that for $120 at a garage sale. You just gotta be out there, you gotta be open, you gotta be looking, gotta be searching. And the drop saw I got for $35. I got this piece of scrap right here, nice and straight. And what I'm gonna do is just bump up where the gate is on that side, or the post at least. And I'm gonna get it as straight as I can by eye. This will give me a good idea where I'm gonna put the post. That looks about good to me. And I'm gonna put the hinge on this side. This way it can open up, give me easy access as I walk in. Now that I know where I'm gonna put my post, I'm gonna start digging right here. I'm gonna put it on this side, same as the other ones. So a post hole digger you gotta have for something like this. And I'm okay as long as I'm on the inside of the fence. Since I put this fence in first, it's a little in my way as I'm digging the post. So I'm just gonna knock a stake in. Give me a little space. That'll just temporarily hold the fence out of the way from me. I think that should be about good. Let me check that out. And I got a 4x4 post here at 8 feet. Should be good. Drop it in. And that looks about close enough. Nice and deep. I'm not going to concrete it in because it's so deep. And the fence is going to be, or the gate is going to be so light. So I'm just going to mark it about where I want it. I'll keep it a little high, about here. Then I'll just cut that. For this post, if you have a bad side like I have, you want to make sure you're cutting that off. And then the side that I cut, I'll stick that down in the ground and the top will be all perfect. So I'm going to cut it here. I got my mark. I'll just mark it with the square to give me a good line. And then to cut this, I'm going to use a chainsaw because my drop saw isn't big enough. So I'll use a chainsaw. This way I can cut it in one pass. Now that I got the saw started, I got the brake on, which is so important. I got the brake on here. I want to make sure I take off any of these loose fitting clothing. Get my earmuffs on. And my glasses are actually in my jacket pocket. I've got this all clamped out, so I don't apply pressure on this side. Release the brake. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Make sure it tucks out of the way. I kept that thing as straight as I could, but you can see either my bar is bent or I think I need to just sharpen these blades because I did a lot of cutting last year on it. We'll get the jacket back on because it is not warm. Look at that, it's cold out, but no more complaining. This is the cut side. It's not perfect, but it's gonna go down. You're not even gonna see it, so it'll look fine. Drop it in. Just how we want it, a little high. The post is looking good. I'm gonna start backfilling it with the sand that I dug out. The only thing is it's been quite cold, so the sand is a little hard, but we'll see. We'll do it as best we can. I'm gonna try as best I can to do this without concreting the post in. This way I can move it in the future. I'm just gonna try to backfill it with sand and then just tamp it down. I think it'll hold because the gate is gonna be so light. This way. There, it looks about good. So it needs to go over a little bit. It's good about there. Then I'll just hold where it's at and Try to bring some more dirt in. A lot of times this is a lot easier when the sand isn't actually frozen. But again, I'm not gonna make too many excuses. This isn't gonna make me quit. You can see it gets cold here in New Jersey. This morning it was like 9:30 or so, it was like 15 degrees. But with the wind chill and everything, it felt like 0. So it definitely gets cold here. That's why I really should have had the ground even insulated before now, but I did the best I could. I got most of it insulated. I'm gonna do the rest as we progress along. And see the post, it's pretty solid where it's at. I don't think I'm gonna have any problem. It might sag a little bit in the future, but if I have to, I can go back and concrete it, but I really don't wanna. With it getting attached to the fence, I'll pull that as tight as I can. That'll help kind of strengthen it, pull it this way with the tension of the fence, and then the gate will help pull it that way, so they'll kind of be opposing forces, and it should help balance it a little better too. So now that I got the post where I want it, all good and level here, I'm gonna be able to just nail the fence to the post here. We're using these poultry net staples, or these poultry net U-nails. So I'll do that now. After I staple it, I'll be able to just cut it. We'll have that post in, be able to attach the door. We'll keep moving on. So I'm gonna attach this fence now with these staples. Some people have said to use needle nose pliers, and those work well. I've done it before, but these are actually pretty long ones. So these are longer than the typical U-nail staples I use, and I've used them a number of times, so it's actually pretty easy for me. And I'm just holding my body up against this post so I don't move it too much. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that this wire is centered on the post all the way up. And I'm going across the X sections of this. Now that I got all that top part nailed, that'll hold, I'm gonna come around the other side and just cut it. Then I'll be able to nail the bottom while I'm holding tension, or I'm holding the force on the opposite side of this post. I'm just gonna cut this off now. This is such a nice tool for cutting it. Now that that's all detached there, I'll just fold this back. We'll get our gate up and attach it right to this post here. So this is where the gate's gonna go. I'm gonna start it from the first clean piece of the welded wire fence, which is right here. So start it about there. And then it'll run all the way to here, so I'll cut it at the next clean one about here. So I'm just gonna cut these all the way down. Now this piece here is gonna be about, the perfect size for our gate. We'll just detach this here, take the post out, and then we'll get this nailed to our gate. Bring it over to some flat ground and make it a lot easier on us. Let's bring this fence over, drop it down. That's the top over there. So at the top, I don't want it to be too high. I'd rather be at low. This when you put your hand on the top, you're not hitting this here, and I want to make sure it's not sharp at all too. So that's a good natural piece of the fence that isn't cut or anything. So we'll make sure the top's not too high, and I'd rather have the bottom part hang a little bit down. And since we matched it up, the length is all gonna be good too. So I'll just start at this corner. Use my own weight to help hold it down. I got most of them in. I'm just gonna tack 2 more at the top here. I don't have to do every single one. That should be pretty good. Let's take a look at it. Not bad. Show you guys what it looks like from the front. The bottom part there, I might cut that off, or I might just let it bend down. I still have to go through and put poultry netting at the bottom, and also for the rest of all the fencing. All right, let's bring the gate over now. Lightweight, cheap. Should work great. I'm already not liking this bottom part, so I'm just gonna cut it off right now. That'll be a lot better without this thing. Now I'm gonna attach these hinges to the gate side first. I got these big hinges my brother got from the flea market. So these are basically free. We got a whole big bucket of them for like $1. So we got a lot of different ones. They're just door hinges, and I don't think they're actually made for outdoor, but they'll work fine. I don't have to pre-drill on this because I'm not gonna split anything. I got that first one in. Take the level, put it on the outside here, and then just make sure it's level to find out where the other one's gonna go. Just the 2 screws in those 2. 2 should be all I need to get started. Then after I put the gate up, I'll be able to put the 3rd hinge on. I don't want to drop any of these, so I want to make sure I'm keeping a hold of all of them. If I do drop them, I want to make sure I'm picking them up. Okay, I just got a piece of wood underneath there just to get the height right. Now I'm just gonna get this top one here. And then it's important that the gap is the same throughout. I'll show you what that's gonna look like. But I'm just gonna get this top one in first. The top one's good. I wanna make sure that this gap at the top here is the same gap at the bottom. So if I do that by eye, it's like about there. So the gap looks like about there by eye. So now that I have those 2 in, I can just go back and tighten this. How it is like this is just temporary. I'm still gonna put another hinge in the center. Just wanna show you guys, give you guys an idea of what it's gonna look like. And you can see it barely even sags without, I'm still gonna put a whole nother hinge in. And it's not sagging much because it's such a light fence. With that one more hinge, it's gonna hold it up a little more, but it'll work nicely. Open just like that. Sorry, let me move this out of the way. Ground's pretty frozen, guys, you can see that. But it's gonna just be like this. We'll be able to come, walk in from inside, walk over, open the gate like this, and then just be able to come through with a wheelbarrow, whatever we want. This is gonna be out of the way. This was just temporary to hold us. So you can see, not expensive, not too much work, not really hard to do, really simple stuff. And I went really for function over form here, but I think it looks pretty good. Later I'm gonna come through and put the other posts in here. Now that I have the gate in, I can put exactly where I want the post. I wanna make sure my gap isn't too big, like it's not too big there. I don't want any kind of critters or anything sneaking through those gaps there. And I still have to go through and put this chicken wire at the bottom there. This way the rabbits can't sneak through. I have to do that along the whole base here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for watching. I know it wasn't super exciting building a gate. These are the necessary things you need to do. And I want to show you how I do it on the cheap and kind of on the easy, and bring you along for the whole process. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, smash that share button, and don't forget to ring the notification bell. Every time we upload, you know. See you in the next one.